Okay, so we're just flipping through my notes real quick, and this is exactly what you saw in the previous video. So I've got my really big piece of mind mapping paper here. It's ginormous, but it's just, sometimes mind mapping when I am studying or just wanting to remember something, or even past the note-taking stage, I'll go ahead and grab a big sheet of paper and start drawing out an image. So I've got my central image here in the center of my mind map, and it's kind of fun as far as choosing which image to use. So I figure in this case, since I've been doing a lot with just creating kind of like quick mind maps, in this case sometimes I actually do get out all my markers and the pencils and the erasers and the Sharpies, you name it, I get out everything, and I start having a lot of fun in creating a really creative mind map. So that's what I'm doing here, is I'm drawing in and coloring in the neocortex and the different parts of the triune brain. So it's just fun because a lot of times, sometimes I'm just trying to be real quick. I'm not trying to do anything fancy. So it feels good every now and then to be able to just basically say, all right, with this mind map, I'm going to have a ton of fun. So yeah, we've got the different things in here with them, and I'll have a list of all the supplies. I laugh because I'm using so many markers. You certainly don't have to. You can just basically use a black and white, a Sharpie and a piece of white paper if you want, or, crayons, or just a box of Crayola markers to draw and color out your mind map. I just, I'm not necessarily an artist, but I am super creative, so I'm all about the pens and the paper and all that good stuff. Okay, so anyway, I'm starting to ramble. But what I'm doing right now is I'm writing out a quote. And it's a quote from Maclean about the triune brain and the intelligence of the brain and so forth. So this is exactly what you see here is the exact process that I use to create my mind maps. So when I'm creating something more creative, I start with notes. So for me, keywords and just having like a couple of keywords don't work for me, because I have a tendency to just make stuff up. And what I mean by that is that I have found through my years of mind mapping and studying is that it's best for me to be able to write out basically full sentences, not necessarily like word for word, but definitely synthesized sentences that allow me to capture those special keywords that are in that I'm wanting to remember and everything. So I'm drawing out here a little neuron and just having probably way too much fun with this mind map. So but it's just kind of fun being able to doodle and learn at the same time. And that's what's really led me to mind mapping originally, is that instead of just taking notes, which I've got tons of notes and everything, but instead of just doing that, now I can focus my attention and draw out things that have to do with what I'm learning, such as in this case drawing out a neuron and labeling it. So it's a way for me to essentially just marry both parts of my brain, the analytical side and the creative side, by joining doodling with color, with words, and with everything else. Now, one of my students in this mind mapping course actually asked me not that long ago how, he says that he gets the making a mind map part, but how do you study from them? And my thoughts on that is that exactly what you see me doing here. This is how I study. So I will write out notes for something, and I'll use mind mapping techniques for those notes. So I don't go in, I don't ever start with just a mind map, like a real basic mind map like this, when I am in a lecture or listening to a video that I want to remember. Instead, I'll just go in and start taking notes and using mind mapping techniques for that. And like I said, you guys saw me do that in the previous video. So I'll go in and do that. And then I'll go back through and I'll even, like I'm doing now, start to draw out things. So to where now I'm starting to remember, I start to use the same colors. So with this right here, what you're seeing, the reptilian brain, is that I've started to associate blue as the reptilian brain. So when I'm wanting to remember, I'll just think, okay, what color was it? And I'll literally go through my mind and I can see the mind map. I can see this mind map that you see me coloring out right now. And I'll be like, okay, I've got the reptilian brain and I drew a reptile. What are the different branches and stuff below it? So I'll just go through and remember what it is that I drew, and then from that it will draw a connection and different associations, and I can remember all sorts of things about the mind map. So for me, it helps hold and focus my attention. So right now I'm just, again, having tons of fun by breaking out all the bells and whistles and drawing, definitely spending way too much time drawing and coloring and stuff, but hey, I was having fun and that's what it's about. So to answer another question, you definitely don't have to be an artist to be able to create mind maps. You've seen several of the mind maps that I've done. Most of the time, it's just simple because I don't have time for all this. I don't have time to carry around 250 markers and draw out all this while a lecture is going on. Instead, this is more just, for fun and for later on. But that's what I do, is that as far as being an artist, no, you don't. I've got mind maps where it looks like I don't have a creative bone in my body. And that's perfectly fine, because other times I'll need to just focus on the task at hand and what's being said, or I'll just quickly want to draw out just a real sketched mind map so that I can explain to someone what thoughts I'm having, or how I want to present something. So I'll go in and I'll do that as well. And you'll see me doing a lot of erasing in this particular video, because just have all sorts of pencil marks, and time to erase them. So as far as using large sheets of paper, I'll use all sorts of paper. So I've got this, the notebook that I was using, which is a Fields notebook, and it's pretty small book. Let's see exactly what size. yeah, so it's a pretty small notebook that I have that I've got all my notes written out, and that is on the screen to the top, kind of over to the left. And I'll use notebooks like that. I'll use other books. I'll use pieces of 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, which I'll be showing you in another video. Another way that you can take mind maps through that process. So it's just, as far as the paper, sometimes I like to go really big because I have a lot of details and things that I want to go into. When the only drawback of using a big sheet of paper is that it's difficult to carry around, and it just, it takes up such a large surface. The nice thing about it is that I can get a lot of information packed in, especially if I am going and using small pens to where I can really drill down into details. So, continue to talk about studying from a mind map. Studying from a mind map is fairly straightforward. The best way that I found to study from mind maps is to basically just keep drawing them. There's a learning curve, or there's a type of learning that we have as human beings, to where we'll learn something, it'll be in our short-term memory. After a couple days, it'll start to fade. And so the best thing you can do at that point is to mind map out things again. You can even make a real quick mind map. And that way your brain is, you're basically reinforcing. You're creating new habits for yourself, to where you can start to be like, okay, the triune nature of mind, this is what it looks like. These are the 3 different divisions of the mind that we're learning. This is what the reptilian brain is. These are the different behaviors of the reptilian brain. So just doing that again and again and again. So repetition is definitely helpful. What's not helpful is going in and creating a mind map and then basically just leaving it and not even using it or seeing it again. Instead, it's a way to just refresh our memory. So yeah, right now I'm writing down the different controls and autonomic functions of the reptilian brain. So, and then just putting some different types of icons in there that you see me drawing out now. So So right there is the reptilian brain of the triune mind, and I hope that you found this video helpful. So next up, the limbic system.